Hi, this is Eugenia Catherine Tiger. Everyone knows me as Carol. I do Hompvks as catering, and I'm the fry bread queen, and I do a lot of Mvskoke cooking. The first recipe that I'll start off with is the Hominy and Meat, and the word for that is sakonipki. Then I'll go to the ingredients and how to prepare it. Pork roast at probably maybe 2 to 3 pounds. I cook it in a crock pot for about 3-4 hours till it's real tender, and then that's the first ingredient. Then I make sure it's seasoned and covered with water at least a couple of inches over, so that it will be real tender by the time I get ready to use it with the hominy. Right now I have cooked the roast at least 3 hours until it comes tender, and take the bone out, and that's when the liquid is ready for the hominy. The juice is what you see from the meat that's been cooked, and then I will add the 3/4 of the canned hominy back into the juice. The juice is I'm ready to add the meat back to the liquid into the hominy. That way it'll cook for another hour, but I have to see how much hominy takes up in the liquid. Then if I need it, then I'll use the rest of the hominy that I left out. And usually you want to make it kind of soupy. I'm ready. I usually cook my meat, if I have a big event, I cook it like 4 to 5 hours early, and then I have to make time for the meat to cook. It's not an overnight thing, but I usually just try to get ahead of time on my meat. And then on who taught me how to cook, I think I just basically wanted to learn on my own, and how it was served at different churches, and I just kind of taught myself how to do the hominy and meat the way I wanted it to taste. But it's an old traditional food that everyone cooks. And then in the meantime, while my hominy and meat is cooking and taking its time, I don't like to rush my hominy and meat. I do have time to make grape dumplings, and the grape dumplings takes a good hour and 2. My next recipe will be the grape dumplings with Hompvks. I use a whisk to add the sugar in slowly as the sugar is cooking into the juice. The heat is not very high. I just want to make sure that all the sugar is dissolved. Now I use my 5-pound bag of flour. I don't usually use all of it, but I make my well in order to start making my dumplings with the grape juice.
Then I slowly pour it in while I'm mixing. Mix your dough real good so it's almost smooth. You're mixing your dough till it gets smooth. You don't want no lumps. And slowly adding in flour. Just bring your flour in from the sides. Oops, sorry. And you're still mixing as you bring your flour in. Bring it in from the bottom sides as your dough's getting thicker. Add too much flour at fast, that's when your dough gets tough. You're always mixing in, no matter what. Slowly add your flour in. By the time you get through, you don't want your dough too sticky. You're turning your dough all the time to the middle. Your dough looks like it's going to be white. By the time you get through, ready to finish cooking, it'll be still purple. Purple dumplings. Okay, it's not too sticky yet. I mean, it's getting firming up a little bit. You're always kneading in and around. Okay, this should be good. You can turn it one more time to the inside because that was the bottom of your dough. You're just cutting, just piecing off like a big biscuit.
As I piece my dough into the hot juice, and then I add as many as I can. And as the dough comes to the top, you know that your dumplings are getting done. And I use all of the dough that I've mixed in. On the grape dumplings, how it originated was that I remember my mom going to pick up grapes, and those were out on the vines on dirt roads that we used to go on, and she would pick them, and then she would cook them for dumplings. That's how I remember it originated from for our family. And I learned from her and how she cooked and what she did. But nowadays we use the juice from the bottles. And how I remember cooking them was that my mom, she basically used the whole recipe, cooking with the sugar and the flour. And now that we do them for wild Indian dinners, that's how I remember using those juices for the grape dumplings. And now I think it's important because we have a lot of things that are not cooked traditionally, and we just use the juices from bottles and things like that we have to use now because we don't have grapes on the vines anymore like they used to. They're hard to find. Flatbread, apadaga. The ingredients that I use are 5-pound bag rising flour, 1.5 cups of whole milk, 1.5 cups of buttermilk, warmed, and vegetable oil for.
And I make my well. I just go back and forth, thinking about it, that it needs to be good. That people will want to eat it. Just concentrating on the flour. That's what I do. I don't know what other people do, but that's what I do.
I add my milk slowly in order for the flour to mix well. That way your dough is kind of soft and it doesn't make it hard and clumpy. The more flour that you add makes the dough hard, and I usually don't do that, and I just add as I go in and mix well.
This is basically like a biscuit dough, but we're making flatbread. And it's smooth, mix. Okay, slowly add your flour in. And if you add too much flour all at once, it makes your dough hard. Always want to mix it in lightly. You can tell as you turn it in, slowly turning it in, the dough is getting thicker. Okay, slowly add. Slowly add it in. Keep slowly adding it in as you. And you don't want your dough to be sticky when you get ready to make your bread. It's kind of like folding it in lightly. Your flour. Okay, it's almost ready. And turn it over. That's the bottom of your dough, so you can turn that in.
I add a drop of dough into the oil just to make sure that it's not too hot, and that way it'll cook your dough at a medium heat. I break off a piece of dough that it's not too sticky. My hands are covered with flour, and just pat it out, just making sure that it's flat. As your bread is cooked, you'll notice that it's puffy on the outside and that it's ready to turn over. Usually what I do is that I put my hand on top of the bread, making sure that it's thoroughly cooked, and that's when you flip it over to show that it's golden brown on the other side, and you do the same for the second side. This recipe, it usually makes an amount for a family supper or whatever, and then if there's anything left, I usually take it to my elder friends that don't usually cook all the time, and it basically a good set of 5 rounds, and all the elders enjoy it with any hominy or meat. If I have that left, I take that to them, and even grape dumplings. I just make a meal for them if there's anything left after I've cooked everything. Homvks Day, I hope everyone enjoys the recipes, and I thank you for letting me teach you that these will be good recipes for try for your families, and that I know that it takes a little practice, that you will learn, and don't rush, and just make sure that everything is a good meal for all your families, and just keep trying and practice. That's the main thing, is practice everything that you do, and I'm just glad that you asked me to teach you these recipes, and I want to thank the library for asking. Meadow for watching my Homvks Day Facebook page, and I want to thank my granddaughter, also to my daughter, for having me do this video. I really appreciate everyone watching.